Tonight, finger pointing over payments.
They see the needs, they know where the needs are for their communities, and that's what they want to provide.
Why one nurses group says Manitobans are needlessly paying for services, and the response from the health minister. Also tonight, a sigh of relief.
I just hope it can help the thousands of people who need this type of assistance.
What comes next for Ukrainians in Manitoba as the federal government offers a one-year work permit extension? Plus, where's the money? Why a Winnipeg law firm is taking one of Canada's biggest banks to court over a missing transfer.
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Manitobans may have to continue paying for some health services. A federal government directive gave provinces until April 1st to ensure all primary care services provided by nurse practitioners are publicly funded. And tonight, the association representing those practitioners says the province missed the deadline. To explain, CTV's Jeff Keel joins us now live. Jeff, what's the health minister saying?
The minister denies the province missed a deadline and says Manitoba is already aligned with the federal government on this one. Nurse practitioners can diagnose, prescribe medications, and order diagnostics like an MRI, CT scan, or ultrasound. But their association says Manitobans are unnecessarily paying for some of their services out of pocket.
That won't change until there are changes to payment reform for nurse practitioners.
The federal government gave provinces an April 1st deadline to make a change based on a new interpretation of the Canada Health Act. The change allows for primary care provided by nurse practitioners, pharmacists, and midwives, equivalent to a doctor, be covered by provincial health plans. The Nurse Practitioners Association of Manitoba says the province has missed that deadline.
There has not been any uptake. There has not been any push.
The association says nurse practitioners want to run private clinics like doctors do and bill the public system, not patients themselves, which is happening now.
If you are seeking care from a nurse practitioner in a private practice, you will continue to pay out of pocket. And remembering that we live in a society where you don't need to.
Didn't miss the deadline, so our government is actually already ahead of that.
But Manitoba's health minister says the province is aligned with the feds on this.
There are some nurse practitioners who have independent practices who are delivering services, I believe, outside of the Canada Health Act parameters, so that's likely what they're referring to.
The association says they have raised this issue with the minister and they're not sure why the changes are not being made.
Our members have made us known that they will continue to open up more and more private practices because they see the gaps.
The association says there are 404 nurse practitioners in Manitoba.
So, Jeff, what happens if this deadline has been missed then?
Nothing right now. Penalties for non-compliance don't come into force until April next year.
All right, thanks for this, Jeff. A bit of good news tonight for Ukrainian newcomers working in Canada. They now have another year to apply to extend their work permits. But some Ukrainians in Manitoba say this just pushes the issue of permanent residency down the road. CTV's Joseph Bernacki explains.
It's been more than 3 years since Ivan Kutsak fled the war in Ukraine with his family. When he's not volunteering with the Ukrainian Canadian Congress, he works full-time as a call dispatcher. Kutsak says permanent residency has brought stability into his life for the first time in years.
To be honest, it was really shock.
It took 18 months for him, all the while working in Winnipeg. But some people are still waiting.
I know a few families who apply in almost the same time with like I did, but they're still waiting.
Back in March 2022, Canada welcomed Ukrainians fleeing war. Now, those who arrived under the program, the Canada-Ukraine Authorization for Emergency Travel, or QIT, will have an extra year to extend their work permits as they wait for permanent residency.
It is a great first step.
Slava Dubchenko, president of the United Ukrainians of Canada, says Tuesday's announcement from the federal government doesn't address the larger issue of attaining permanent residency. Dubchenko believes as many as 200,000 Ukrainians in Canada are working on an open work permit, and those could be cancelled any time.
They can't take their children, take their family, and return back to Ukraine because there is a war.
It's why the Ukrainian-Canadian Congress is lobbying the federal government. Joanne Lewandowski, president of the Manitoba chapter, says Tuesday's announcement is hopeful for those waiting to find out their future in Canada.
I am grateful to the Minister of Immigration for this move. I just hope it can help the thousands of people who need this type of assistance.
Joseph Bernacki, CTV News, Winnipeg.
One of Canada's largest banks is asking a court to dismiss a lawsuit which claims it failed in its duty of care after $343,000 was mistakenly deposited into the wrong account and later withdrawn. The suit was brought forward by Winnipeg-based Taylor McCaffrey LLP. It claims it was acting for a client on a real estate transaction and instructed the funds be transferred from a mortgage lender into a CIBC trust account at this branch in the city's core. But the firm learned a few days later the funds never arrived and were instead sent to the wrong account because of an incorrect transit number. CIBC says its efforts to recall the funds were unsuccessful and later learned the money had been transferred to accounts in Morocco and the UAE. The law firm is arguing the bank had a duty to verify the account details matched before completing the transfer, but the bank disputes this, pointing to a bylaw under the Canadian Payments Act, which states when a payment includes both the name and account number, financial institutions are not required to identify discrepancies between them. The bank is asking the claim be dismissed with costs. CTV News has reached out to the plaintiff's lawyer for comment. We are still awaiting a response. None of the claims have been tested in court. If you'd like to learn more about that lawsuit and each party's position, we have an article about it up on our website. Just head to ctvnewswinnipeg.ca. We'll get those tackle boxes ready, folks. The 2026 Manitoba Angler's Guide is out. It will cost Manitobans between 16 and 64 years of age, $28 for an annual license this year. Seniors, people with First Nation status, veterans, and active military members don't require an angling license. The guide highlights important dates and catch limits for the 2026 season, along with new regulations and proposed changes. You can find the guide online at manitobafisheries.com. Let's bring in Colleen Brady now. Get a first look at your Skywatch evening forecast. What are you tracking for us tonight, Colleen?
A little cool out there, a little cloudy on this April Fool's Day, and it's no joke. Temperatures are a little cooler than they ought to be for this time of year. Watching this little bit of light snow popping up closer to the international border. And of course, last night I was talking about a low pressure system that could come Manitoba's way. I'll have the latest on where we could see that precipitation come into the province. But first, let's take a look through the CTV Live Eyes, brought to you by Bath Fitter, exclusive home of the PermaFit solution. In Winnipeg right now, it's cloudy and 2 degrees. Winds coming from the south-southeast at 15 kilometers an hour. The pressure's dropping and the humidity right now, Marilee, is 60%.
Thanks, Colleen. Sex offender Peter Nygard is suing the government of Manitoba and Saskatchewan, along with Winnipeg police and others, alleging charges he faced in one case were an abusive process. The former fashion mogul was charged in 2023 for allegedly sexually assaulting and unlawfully confining a woman in Winnipeg in 1993. Those charges were stayed in October after a judge ruled records of police interviews with the complainant in 1993 were destroyed without justifiable reasons, violating Nygard's right to a fair trial. Prosecutors decided not to lay charges in 2022, but the Manitoba government later forwarded the investigation to Saskatchewan Justice for an independent review, and Nygard was arrested. In the statement of claim, Nygard's lawyers alleged 2 women, including the complainant, made defamatory statements. The Manitoba government acted improperly and police were negligent. The claims have not been tested in court, and none of the defendants have filed statements of defense. Sextortion cases in Winnipeg are on the rise, and tonight police are sharing some tips on how you can protect yourself and your children. Standing by live with the details for us is CTV's John Hendricks. John, just how big of a jump are we talking about here?
Marilee, police received 223 extortion reports last year. Now that is up from just 19 reports in 2020. Now the data includes all extortion reports, but officers say that sextortion makes up the bulk of the incidents and believe there are many more incidents that go unreported.
I believe that there is a large amount of kids and even adults. They can be all the way up to 24 because they're targeted. That's what the target range is usually to young adults. They don't report it because of fear, anxiety. They don't want anybody to know, so a lot of them will keep complying. But yeah, it is on the rise.
Sextortion often involves a perpetrator convincing the victim to send them intimate images online, and then the perpetrator threatens to share them unless money, gift cards, or more pictures are provided. Police say about 87% of victims in cases reported to the service's Internet Child Exploitation Unit are boys. In those incidents, victims are typically targeted by strangers who develop a relationship with them, often using social media, and it all happens in a matter of days or weeks.
Know what their child is doing on the internet. If they're on social media, if they're on gaming platforms, maybe get to know the platforms they're on. There's so many different ones, so it's tough for parents. But I think the major thing they can do is make sure that parents know what their kids are doing online, who their friends are, and if they're communicating with somebody they don't know, ask your child who it is.
Police warn the sextortion can also happen within an existing relationship, primarily as a control mechanism. Around 90% of the victims in those cases are women.
So, John, what are police doing then to combat this surge in sextortion cases?
You know, police have launched an online video series to educate the public on how they can protect themselves and what to do if they're targeted. Police say many victims are unaware of the legal protections and supports that exist. Now, those targeted or victimized are urged to contact police or report the incident through cybertips.ca. And as you heard, the detective said you can also talk to your kids about what they're doing online.
Some great tips. All right, thanks, John. A former student is suing Pembina Trail School Division, alleging it failed to protect him from years of sexual abuse by a Winnipeg football coach and phys ed teacher who is now serving a 20-year prison sentence for sexual assault, sexual exploitation, and luring. A statement of claim alleges the school division was negligent, breached its fiduciary duty, and is liable for the conduct of former coach Kelsey McKay. The plaintiff, whose identity is protected by a publication ban, attended Vincent Massey Collegiate between 2014 and 2018 and was a member of the school's varsity football team. According to the claim, McKay used his position as both the head coach and phys ed teacher to gain the plaintiff's trust before subjecting him to what the document describes as sexual assault, psychological abuse, grooming, manipulation, and harassment. The alleged conduct began in 2014 and continued until approximately 2021. The lawsuit seeks an unspecified amount in damages as well as legal costs. CTV News could not reach McKay for comment. A spokesperson, though, for the Pembina Trail School Division says the division isn't commenting as the matter is before the courts. The allegations have not been tested in court and no statement of defense has been filed. A man is in hospital with serious injuries and another is in custody following an alleged hit and run in western Manitoba. Mounties say it happened around 2:30 yesterday morning in the small community of Pine River. That's about 75 kilometers northwest of Dauphin. A 36-year-old man was taken to hospital in Winnipeg in critical condition. RCMP say a 46-year-old man from the community was arrested a few hours later and is charged with failing to stop an impaired operation of a vehicle causing bodily harm. The new critical care center in Brandon is nearing completion.
This spring, the new critical care unit is going to start accepting patients.
The center is part of a $120 million redevelopment at Brandon Regional Health Center. It will increase adult intensive care unit capacity from 10 to 16 beds, all of which are private. 12 will come online with the initial opening, while the remaining 4 will follow as staffing allows.
Our current ICU is dated. It's small, it's cramped, there's very little privacy. This is a large step forward and it's going to make a great deal of change, not just for our patients, but for our staff who are caring for these patients.
The large center also includes better flow and more natural light, as well as a 30-bed internal medicine unit. The critical care center is expected to begin accepting patients in May. One person was taken to hospital following a fire at a West End apartment building last night. The city says crews were sent to the 3-story building in the 400 block of Sherbrooke Avenue shortly before 7 o'clock. The fire was brought under control within about a half an hour. However, one person was brought to hospital in unstable condition. The city says everyone else managed to get out of the building safely. The cause is still under investigation, but it's believed to have been contained to the suite where it started. There will soon be fewer trees in one South Winnipeg neighborhood as the city takes action against an invasive pest. There's a new population of the highly destructive emerald ash borer taking hold in the Glenwood area, and the city is set to start removing trees to prevent the spread. A spokesperson says 45 trees are expected to come down over the next 4 to 6 weeks, starting tomorrow on and around Overton Street and Blenheim Avenue. Now, the beetle, which is native to Eastern Asia, has decimated millions of ash trees across North America and was first detected in our city in 2017. Initially, it was expected to wipe out the city's ash population, which accounts for about a third of all of the trees on boulevards and in parks over 10 to 15 years. The city now says that's likely to happen over a much longer period of time, given the significant preventative measures underway. 22 infected public trees have been removed since 2017. History is being made as we speak tonight. Artemis 2 has just launched on a mission bringing mankind back to the moon.
10, TLS is go for core stage engine start.
Integrity, good roll pitch.
Roger, roll pitch.
This was the blastoff, which took place about a half an hour ago. The mission will be the fastest and furthest any crew has gone, a 10-day mission around the moon and back. The 4 astronauts, including Canadian Jeremy Hansen, are on board. This is NASA's first lunar mission in more than 50 years, and the mission is incredibly complicated. The Orion spacecraft you're seeing there features the most powerful rocket that's ever been built, and it's full of millions of high-tech components. NASA has ambitious plans for space exploration, including a moon base by 2030. But of course, it all hinges on the success of this mission today, which is off to a great start. Minimum wage is going up. We're going to tell you by how much and when after the break. Taking a look at the markets tonight, crude oil lost $1.26. The loonie rose to 72 cents U.S. Gold futures jumped $134. The TSX added 198 points. The Dow Jones and Nasdaq also gained some ground. Minimum wage in Manitoba is going up this fall. The province will boost the minimum wage by 40 cents to $16.40 an hour effective October 1st. The increase is based on Manitoba's inflation rate in 2025. However, some labor advocates say the hike falls short.
$16 going up to $16.40. Any increase is good for minimum wage workers, but they deserve better. You know, when you work full time, you shouldn't have to live in poverty. And right now, Manitoba has a working poor problem. Over 40,000 workers make minimum wage in our province, and they live below the poverty line. They don't make enough to meet their basic needs. That needs to change. We think that minimum wage should be a living wage.
The Manitoba Federation of Labor says data shows workers need to earn close to $20 an hour just to meet basic needs. And its president, Kevin Rebeck, wants the Canoe government to change laws to allow larger minimum wage increases. There's a new battle brewing tonight in the trade war between Canada and the U.S. American officials published a list of trade irritants with our country, pointing to the Buy Canadian policy as a thorny issue. CTV's Mike LeCouture has more on it and the reaction to it.
The country's iconic symbol of democracy will soon be protected by Canadian steel. During the next phase of renovations, the Peace Tower will be encased by steel scaffolding from Hamilton-based Walters Inc. But it may not have happened if not for the Buy Canadian provision.
It would have been more difficult, and the chances are that much of the material, at least the raw material, would have come from the United States as opposed to from Canada.
As of December of last year, the government mandated that publicly funded infrastructure projects should prioritize Canadian workers and industries. Even though the U.S. has a similar provision, the American Trade Representative cited Canada's version as a trade irritant. The Minister for Canada-U.S. Trade downplayed the list of irritants, saying talks are continuing.
There was a high-level meeting this week in Washington between senior officials from Canada and the United States, to discuss these and other issues. So none of this is surprising to us.
The removal of American liquor off many provincial store shelves is also on the list of irritants, as is Canada's Online Streaming Act and the Supply Management System, which restricts the import of American dairy, poultry, and eggs into this country. Meantime, Mexico is seemingly further ahead in trade negotiations with the U.S., engaging in technical discussions with the Americans.
I think the Canadian government is stalling for time. They think that Trump, my guess is they think Trump is weak. They want to sort of see if they can get this deferred into the midterms.
Minister LeBlanc says he'll continue to speak regularly with his American counterparts about the Kuzma review, even as the deadline to decide the deal's fate is just 3 months away. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Ottawa.
The U.S. president will address the nation tonight about the war with Iran. As gas prices skyrocket and consumers face price hikes on airfares and a threat of a global recession, Donald Trump says the end of the war is coming, but not before he lashed out at NATO. With more, here's CTV's Joy Malbin.
President Donald Trump says he intends to declare mission accomplished in Iran soon.
I would say that within 2 weeks, maybe 3. We're hitting them very hard.
They are. The Pentagon says it's hit more than 11,000 targets, blasting Iranian vessels, damaging Iran's ballistic missiles, and decapitating much of Iran's senior leadership. Trump posted this morning, Iran's new regime president, much less radicalized, has just asked the U.S. for a ceasefire. We will consider when Hormuz Strait is open, free, and clear. But Iran's president was already president before the war. Tehran flatly rejects Trump's ceasefire claim, and Trump said it didn't matter if the strait was open or not. That critical waterway for global oil and shipping blocked by Tehran has sent oil and gas prices spiraling.
If France or some other country wants to get oil or gas, they'll go up through the strait and Hormuz Strait. They'll go right up there and they'll be able to fend for themselves. We have nothing to do with that.
It's no secret Trump is upset with America's allies. France, Spain, and Italy. Even the UK initially denied airspace and military support to Trump.
This is not our war. We will not be drawn into the conflict.
Lashing out in a British newspaper, Trump said, I'm strongly considering pulling out of NATO, calling the alliance a paper tiger, stating it's beyond reconsideration.
We are going to have to re-examine whether or not this alliance that has served this country well for a while is still serving that purpose, or is it now become a one-way street?
If Trump tried to pull out of NATO, he'd trigger a congressional and likely constitutional battle. The president telling Reuters he plans to criticize NATO tonight in his speech to the nation. Joy Malbin, CTV News, Washington.
Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister will take part in multi-nation talks tomorrow on the Iran war.
Post-ceasefire, we could be looking at vessels, demining expertise, intelligence, cyber capabilities as being items that Canada will contribute.
The meeting hosted by the UK will focus on finding diplomatic options to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has disrupted shipments of energy commodities through the waterway, causing global oil prices to surge over the past month. A positive update from the family of a 12-year-old girl in BC who was seriously wounded in the deadly school shooting in Tumbler Ridge. Maya Gabella, who was shot in the head and neck, is now out of the ICU. Her father's emotional social media post says with help, the 12-year-old was able to sit up. He wrote, quote, I am finally able to wrap my arms around my daughter and hold her tight, adding, we are getting there. 9 people, including the teenage shooter, were killed in the tragedy. Jewish people around the world are preparing to celebrate Passover. The 8-day holiday will be observed from sunset tonight and will end after nightfall on Thursday, April 9th. It's one of the most sacred of Jewish holidays and commemorates the liberation of the Jews from slavery.
Having a nice dense residential area like this is starting to be more and more common.
A gateway to cottage country. How many homes will be built as part of a new housing development in South Winnipeg?
And temperatures throughout the Easter long weekend closer to normal. Normal now for Winnipeg is around 6 degrees. So we're a little off the mark, but still warmer than it has been as of late. 3 degrees on Good Friday under a mix of sun and cloud. There's a chance of flurries both Saturday and on Easter Sunday, but also a mix of sun and cloud both days. Saturday up to 4. Easter Sunday up to 3, -2 on Monday under a mix of sun and cloud. Same sky conditions Tuesday, but with a warmer high near +1.
Team Canada's Matt Dunstone was looking to make it 5 in a row this morning as he took on the formidable Swiss team at the World Men's Curling Championship.
Little heavy, they say. Nothing yet. And he's backed right off. They've backed right off. And will it grab enough and stop? Oh my gosh, look at that on its own.
The tension was palpable with that final shot in the 10th end. Dunstone drew to the center to break a tie and lift his Winnipeg-based squad to an 8-7 win. That win created a bit of a logjam at the top of the standings, with Canada, Scotland, Switzerland, and Sweden all tied for first with 7 wins and 2 losses. The top 6 teams will move on to the playoffs after the round robin wraps up tomorrow. Dunstone is set to face Czechia tonight. Another big development is in the works for Southeast Winnipeg.
The site's ideally located right on Fermor, which is the gateway to cottage country and anyone coming in and out of northwestern Ontario, as well as being surrounded by new and mature communities.
Dawson Crossing is expected to fill 119 acres of land just north of Sage Creek. Plans include more than 3,000 residential units, room for big box stores, restaurants, clinics, and other businesses, and lots of parks and green space peppered throughout the community. Todd LaBelle from real estate firm Avison Young says Dawson Crossing will help tackle the housing shortage inside the perimeter.
When you look at the vacancy rates in the city, and we're starting to see that houses are being unaffordable for most younger people, we just need to get that supply up there. Building one-off apartments up and down main streets are great, but having a nice dense residential area like this is starting to be more and more common.
LaBelle says full site servicing is expected to be done in 2027. Some of the first buildings in Dawson Crossing could break ground next year as well.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
Colleen Brady back now with your complete Skywatch forecast, and temperatures looking better as we head towards the long weekend.
Yeah, not too bad, with some sunshine thrown in there too. So overall, it should be a lovely long weekend. Well, today it was a little cloudy, not so lovely. Brandon right now is cloudy, but the warmest temperature of the day is right now out in Brandon, reaching 0. A little warmer right now here in Winnipeg, 2 degrees. There's a little bit of light snow popping up to the south of the city there. But speaking of which, there is a low pressure system on the way that's going to bring snow to some areas. It doesn't look like it will reach Winnipeg, so I'll give you that much. But to other areas, we'll see some snow. Speaking of which, a little bit popping up, just looking like it's just skirting right around Fort Frances, right around the international border. So as we go throughout the next few hours, it will be cloudy for the most part here in the south. Some clouds in other parts of the province. Not too much, though. The most northern areas may see a few flurries sort of dot the area overnight and into tomorrow. Churchill, you'll see flurries tonight and tomorrow. But it's early Thursday when this low pressure system is going to develop in the United States, and it will be far more significant stateside than here in Canada, specifically in Manitoba, northwestern Ontario. But it does look at least like the northern flank is heading our way. So as we get into the afternoon, you can see the approach of that snow coming up through the Dakotas and Minnesota. You may see a few flurries up in the southwest part of the province, but not much of note there. But it's really more the focus is southeastern Manitoba back into northwestern Ontario. As we get into the afternoon, when temperatures are a little warmer, that's when we could start to see some rain pop up. And it looks like accumulations won't be really significant. Having said that, the southeast corner of these areas right along the international border could see 10 centimeters as that rain turns to snow. In the northwestern Ontario, you'll see some snow as well, maybe 5 centimeters for Fort Francis, a little bit less through Kenora over into Dryden. So for the most part, it looks like it will stay closer to the border. Then as we get overnight and into Friday, we brighten up, as you can see, across much of the province, including the south. A little cloudier for that most northern part of Manitoba, though. As we get a little later on into the day, I'm sure you're watching this, it stays for the most part outside of Manitoba as well. For tonight for the city, cloudy. Again, there's the possibility of fog. We didn't see it form here. It did form in other parts of southern Manitoba, though. We dropped down to -3 overnight. Southeast winds at 20 kilometers an hour. The winds will shift by tomorrow for the commute out of the east. Still cloudy, still -3, and still the possibility of fog, at least early during the commute. 2 degrees our afternoon high temperature. Again, those clouds sticking around, the winds shifting slightly coming out of the northeast and picking up a bit of speed at 30 kilometers an hour. And this is what I'm talking about. Churchill tonight, a good chance of a light dusting of flurries, down to -20 though. Gillam, Island Lake, partly cloudy. A few clouds over Thompson, down to -14. A mix of sun and cloud in Thompson tomorrow, up to +2. Gillam and Island Lake staying just below freezing. A few clouds tonight, but not much over Norway House, down to -13. Partly cloudy for the rest of the northwest. Overnight lows between -10 and -13 degrees. A mix of sun and cloud tomorrow with mild temperatures between 0 and 2 degrees. In the southwest tonight, watch out for fog in Brandon and Neepawa overnight, down to -4 there. Cloudy for Dauphin, clear for Swan River, down to 11. Cloudy there tomorrow and 1 degree. 0 for Dauphin, Neepawa and Brandon. Cloudy. Winnipeg in the southeast tonight, cloudy for the most part. Not so much for Barons River, but for the rest of us, with the possibility of fog. Overnight lows around -3, 4 degrees. And then tomorrow, cloudy with highs getting just above freezing, 1, 2 degrees for most of the region. And in northwestern Ontario tonight, a few clouds over Kenora, cloudy for the rest of the region. And then you'll see some of that snow move into Dryden and Fort Francis. There's a chance you'll see some moving into Kenora later on in the day as well. Our first weather photo is from David, looking at beautiful Grand Rapids there. A beautiful morning, he said it was. And this lady coming up, she's turning 4 today. Her name is Gracie. Now, she's known as a wobbly cat, which means that she doesn't have as much use of her legs, but that doesn't let her stop her enjoying the good life, including today out at Assiniboine Park. Send us your weather photos. That one was from Jill. The email address is winnipegweather@ctv.ca.
New hope for people living with long COVID, how an existing medication may offer some relief.
You can have a life with joy and hope and love, but it's not always easy.
Not always easy, but worth it if you ask 92-year-old Agatha Bach. She was the standout star at the Hot Docs Documentary Festival, winning Best Canadian Feature Documentary for Agatha's Almanac. The feature captures a way of life that feels almost impossible today, and it is set right here in Manitoba. Agatha and her niece, Emily Atkins, who directed the film, joined me in studio today to talk all about it. Welcome, both of you. What an honor to have you in today.
Thank you.
You know, this film, I understand, was shot over 6 years at your 54-acre farm in southern Manitoba, which really hasn't changed much since 1950. You have no running water, you don't have a vehicle, or a working phone. I mean, it's such a stark...
Well, I did have a working phone most of the time.
You did, okay.
No cell phone.
No cell phone. Okay.
But sometimes you can't get through because the line, it's something to do with the lines.
Or you're in the garden, I would imagine, hard at work.
Of course, if I'm outside, they have the phone after dark.
I mean, it's such a stark difference to the way the vast majority of us live our lives today. Were you surprised, you know, because of that, you know, gap in lifestyles, of just how positively people reacted and connected to this film?
I was surprised at how much people are reacting. Like, it felt very special to me, but of course I'm biased because I'm her niece. I thought her life is very special, and I wanted to capture it for myself, for my family, and perhaps there might be other people interested out there, and we have found people have been interested all over the world.
Boy, are they ever. You were in your mid-80s when Emily started filming. We see you celebrate your 90th birthday.
Yeah.
I gotta know.
I still had a garden.
Still had a garden. You tell me you're 92 now. Are you still getting ready to seed and harvest and preserve?
God willing.
Wow.
I don't know. I couldn't have it last year because I was sick in the spring and in the summer. First I had congestive heart failure, and then I had a hernia surgery, and that takes 8 weeks to recover. And then I broke some ribs, so by that time it was mid-August. Couldn't plant a garden then. And this year it was even worse. I never got away. I spent a week at the farm.
Did you miss it? Did you miss it, having to be away for so long?
Of course I missed it.
Yeah. So, I was going to ask you if you ever get tired, or if you've ever wanted to...
I never get tired.
No? Ever want to trade it in for, a nice condo next to a grocery store or anything?
Oh, forget it. I could have a condo if I wanted. And when the time comes, we never know.
Emily Agatha's Almanac is being screened in Winnipeg right now. The premiere screen tonight, right, at Cinematheque, and it plays over the next couple weeks till the 15th, so people will have a chance to see it for themselves, and it really is worth seeing. I'm only about 15 minutes in, but I'm hooked, and you got a special treat for visitors that come tonight.
I believe it's sold out tonight.
Sold out tonight, okay.
However, we each, between the two of us, we have 2 tickets, so I don't know exactly how to... Maybe just show up at the,
you never know.
The screening and request a free ticket.
And you've got some of your precious seeds from your garden that you've been saving over the years.
She has the watermelon seeds that I keep year to year, and the beans are the ones I got this spring from this. I was a little reluctant. I wondered if they really were the ones I had. I cooked some, and yes, they were.
They were.
She gave her seeds to someone else to grow, and these are coming back to her. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you both for being here. Again, Agatha's Almanac screening at Cinematheque starting tonight to April 15th. Canada's Public Health Agency is taking over a vaccine injury compensation program and reviewing previously rejected claims. The program covers serious injuries tied to vaccines approved after December 2020, including COVID-19 shots. Officials say they will address backlogs and improve transparency after complaints about delays under a third-party administrator. More than 3,500 claims have been filed, with 252 approved and more than $21 million paid out so far. A common and low-cost antidepressant can successfully treat fatigue associated with long COVID, according to a new study. The study found the drug fluvoxamine, which is commonly sold under the name Luvox, significantly reduced fatigue symptoms in a clinical trial of nearly 400 adults with long COVID. It's one of the first times the medication has been shown to effectively treat the condition. An estimated 65 million people worldwide have experienced long COVID. Common symptoms include fatigue, breathlessness, muscle or joint pain, and impaired sleep, which persists for at least 3 months after infection. The study was published yesterday in the journal Annals of Internal Medicine. An Ottawa woman is on a mission to find a cure for Parkinson's disease. She was diagnosed at just 37 years old and is now doing everything she can to assist others living with the condition. CTV's Leah LaRocque reports.
Just lack of control.
It started as a small tremor in Chantal Theriault's right hand that she could no longer ignore.
And then it moved from my hand to my arm, and it moved down to my leg, and I said, okay, it's time.
At just 37 years old, an unexpected diagnosis.
The news that he gave me, I thought for sure that he picked up the wrong chart, but he told me that I had Parkinson's disease.
Parkinson's disease is a brain condition that gradually affects movement, causing tremors, stiffness, and slower motion, more common in men and those over 40. The ICU program coordinator for more than 2 decades, now turning to the Ottawa Hospital for care.
It's tiring in the sense that even if I may not be shaking excessively on the outside, it's still happening on the inside. So it is tiring.
Theriault refused to give up what she loved, including kickboxing and her fitness regime. But she took it further, participating in clinical studies and research, including a smell test to help see how the nose and sense of smell affects those living with Parkinson's.
That's fair enough that you're guided by the options.
Movement.
Mint is the correct answer.
The new Ottawa Hospital campus site will include a building that's dedicated to neuroscience and geriatrics, and it's largely funded by philanthropy.
Thériault has also raised more than $50,000 over the years.
Parkinson's is 10 years behind Alzheimer's disease with all the discoveries.
Her doctor says her work in the trials and in fundraising is critical to help better understand the disease.
But the holy grail as to how do we stop it today, we're not there yet, but I'm very, very optimistic, and I always say to my wife, I don't retire until we're there, that in the next 10 years we'll have the intervention that really puts the brakes on the progression of the illness.
A story of research, resilience, and hope.
Why this is so important to me is because it's my future and other people's future.
Leah LaRocque, CTV News.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manukin Koster Denture Clinic.
Unforgettable experiences centered around some of the best live music in the world.
All that jazz. Who will be performing at this year's Winnipeg International Jazz Festival next in Spotlight?
Spotlight sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting Tim Hicks, the Going Somewhere Tour.
The Winnipeg International Jazz Festival is inviting you to groove together and discover new sounds.
Unforgettable experiences centered around some of the best live music in the world.
The 35th festival will feature fiery Latin rhythms, swinging standards, and sophisticated sounds from 50 artists from 8 countries. Marquee shows will feature Molly Johnson, Soul Supreme's D'Angelo tribute, the Miles Electric Band's Miles Davis 100th celebration, and the youngest son of the first family of jazz, Jason Marsalis. The Jazz of the Fort Garry Club series brings together classic and new music. There's also a special co-presentation with the Winnipeg Folk Festival, a high school honor band program, and a special trio show featuring members of the Cat Empire.
There really is a lot to discover here, and some of these projects are coming together just as one-offs, and it's a chance to see something really unique partnerships, collaborations.
Old Market Square will once again feature 6 days of free outdoor programming. The Winnipeg International Jazz Festival hits the stage June 16th to the 21st. Well, hot off his wins at the 2026 Juno Awards, Canadian singer-songwriter Daniel Caesar is heading out on an Asian and North American tour, and that includes a stop here in Winnipeg.
Chances I'll step out of line, but who knows?
That's Who Knows off Caesar's latest album, Son of Spurgey, for which he just won Best Contemporary R&B Recording of the Year. He's now heading out on a 30-date arena tour, which launches May 16th in Singapore. Caesar is set to play Canada Life Centre August 10th. Tickets go on sale Friday through Live Nation. An actual Las Vegas showgirl is suing Taylor Swift over the singer's use of the life of a showgirl. Marin Flagg says in the trademark infringement lawsuit that the glittery branding of Swift's 2025 album comes too close to the aesthetic of her own Confessions of a Showgirl. That's the name of a column she wrote on Backstage Sin City Life starting in 2014 and eventually turned into a live tour. Swift's stadium-packing 12th studio album, The Life of a Showgirl, sold 4 million copies in its first week. Flagg is seeking a permanent injunction blocking Swift from using the phrase, as well as damages, profits, and attorney's fees. A representative for Swift declined to comment. Your primetime lineup starts at 7. The 2-hour season finale of The Masked Singer. Shark Tank comes next at 9 and Catch Scrubs at 10. It's all right here tonight on CTV.
April Fools at the ballpark. How the Winnipeg Goldeyes popped up a prank for its fans.
Women's clothing provided by R.W. & Company. Salon services provided by S&T Spa Salon.
Tonight, presidential primetime address. What's next in the war in Iran and why Donald Trump is considering pulling the U.S. out of NATO. Later on CTV National News and watch on Crave.
Highest temperature today was 2 degrees. Yeah, it's above freezing, but a little below where we ought to be for this time of year. Normal highs closer to 6. Tonight, cloudy. There is the possibility of fog overnight and into the commute tomorrow. We stay cloudy on Thursday. We drop to -3 tonight. 2 is the high tomorrow. 3 on Good Friday under a mix of sun and cloud. A chance of flurries on Saturday and on Easter Sunday. Above freezing and then below freezing to start the week on Monday.
Thanks, Colleen. Plenty of Manitoba businesses and organizations got into the spirit of April Fool's Day today, but Winnipeg's baseball team says there is some truth to its prank. If you didn't see it, the Winnipeg Goldeyes announced today that it was rebranding as the Manitoba Mosquitoes. The team vowed the Mosquitoes will strike fear, irritation, and mild itching into the hearts of opponents everywhere. Now, of course, the fake name change was all in good fun, sort of. We say that because the organization is actually rebranding as the Manitoba Mosquitoes for one night only on July 31st at Blue Cross Park, and it's going to be done complete with special jerseys and hats. So maybe you can get your hands on some of those. Kind of fun.
Mild itchiness. Let's not do that. But
you know what? I had to keep reminding myself all day every time I saw something online. Wait a second.
Yeah.
Is this
April
true?
Fools. Very clever, Goldeyes.
Have a good night. We'll see you back here tomorrow.